What is going on? Welcome back to Financial Journey. So today we're going to talk to you on Polestar. I want to go over some of the current data points, break it down on why it has been doing very good over the last several days, and then I'll go over everything else that you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. Always greatly appreciate that. And with that said, let's get right to it. So Polestar is currently up 4.92%. Broader market is pulling back. It did start off very optimistic though, so a lot of the EVs were green, and as you can kind of see right now, Lucid, Tesla, Rivian, a lot of them are red, with the exception of NIO, but that's I think a value rally in that aspect. But Polestar has been doing phenomenal over the last 3 trading days. I want to break it down on what has really prompted that. So when it comes down to Polestar, these 2 days they did come out with some very negative PR, one of which was this. So the fact that they did appoint Ansgar, if I'm saying that right, as the new CFO. And so typically whenever this type of scenario happens right before a company's earnings, that is an extreme red flag. So this news right now, especially without any context behind it, like this caused it to go down. And in reality, I'm sure a lot of people thought that this was going to be the cherry on top and whatever. But it did get a little bit worse. So Polestar did come out with their Q4 delivery numbers. And so when it comes down to it, they did deliver some Polestar 4s, which is a fairly big accomplishment. I believe that was in China that they did deliver those. But aside from that though, they originally had a target of 80,000, reduced it down to 60 to 70, and they still missed that. So they did 54,600 vehicles delivered in 2023. Still though, on a year-over-year basis, fairly good, so up 6% compared to 2022, but nowhere near what Wall Street actually did truly want. So this, in reality, was another surprise for investors. So this was the cherry on top of the cherry, and this just caused it to go down very, very fast. So in that sell-off, that's kind of what prompted a nice rally. So a couple of things, one of which is technicals. So when a stock is bouncing off of either a very strong support or resistance point, it tends to reverse temporarily. But if you piggyback that with some news that does come out, this is where you get a Polestar kind of scenario. So it did bounce off of this S2, so $1.54 roughly, because it did recently make a new 52-week and all-time low of $1.59. So roughly that support range was triggered. So that's kind of a good thing. We do know that $1.50 is going to be very good going forward. And so once again, that kind of caused a temporary reversal. If you piggyback that with the recent analyst rating that did come out from Cantor Fitzgerald, even though Andre Shepard only has a 26% success rating, which is very bad in my opinion, but he did give a buy rating and a $5 price target. So when it comes down to the technical reversal as well as the analyst rating, this is how you get a nice reversal. So a lot of value investors are rushing to Polestar, and this is what I did say would happen. The fact that if there was a good piece of news, either on a larger scale or specific to Polestar, which obviously, like I said, these 2 pieces of news that did come out weren't necessarily the best, but if you did get something to come out, such as an analyst rating, then a lot of value investors were going to flock towards Polestar. And so that's kind of exactly what has happened. So both institutions and retail have been buying. You can tell that based on the momentum indicator and just the volume. So that's kind of a good thing. Shorts haven't really closed out their positions all that much. So ever since it was announced, I'll just hit refresh right here, but they haven't been doing all that much. 10.2% of the free float is being shorted. So they did increase since 2024. So it went from around 8% short interest to now 10.2. So they have doubled down in 2024. But still though, I do feel that if this positive momentum does continue for Polestar, shorts will start to return some shares and maybe go back down to 7 or 8% where they typically liked it. But 25.05 million shares overall are being shorted. So very interesting stuff is happening behind the scenes, and it's just a lot more psychological stuff rather than anything. It's kind of funny though, that's how the market works, right? All it takes is an analyst giving a positive rating for people to say, hey, you know what? This is a good valued play. So it's kind of weird, even though Andre Shepard only has a 26% success rating, but whatever. While I'm on here, latest Morningstar report does show the fair market value for Polestar being $3.16. So kind of interesting for that. So when it comes down to it, if you are looking for a lot of good compiled information, such as analyst ratings, forecasts, Morningstar reports, take a look at Interactive Brokers for all of this information to be completely free. Just click on the link in the description below and also the comments. So the market's been open roughly about an hour. So I'll go over some of the options right now. So $3,600 in calls being purchased versus 27 in puts. So dollar value wise, not many people are getting into Polestar through options. And it's not necessarily just this, but over the last several days, just a lot of people aren't necessarily doing options. Sentiment wise though, people are anticipating for Polestar to go down because 69% of all the options being done so far are bearish. Of the call options that are being purchased, there is a consensus for it to be over $2 by the end of this Friday. And looking at puts, it is anticipated for it to be sub $2 by February the 16th. So based on this, you can clearly tell just nobody is really getting into Polestar through options again. But no matter what, it's kind of interesting. It's good to see it alive somewhat. So over the last little bit, so if we go back over here, so over the last 5 days, it is up 19.57%. So I feel like this is a nice potential value rally for Polestar in the midst of a very bad economy, or at least a downtrend within that front. So it's kind of interesting whether this is going to be sustainable or not. We'll just have to wait and find out. But with it currently at $1.93, it is trading between this pivot and this R1. So in comparison to a lot of other growth stocks, it is doing phenomenal. $2 is going to be the next strong resistance that you'll really want to watch for Polestar to get above. And then vice versa, $1.82 is going to be that next strong support. And then $1.64, $1.54. So we at least do know that this S2 is going to be strong. So that's kind of a positive thing. Oddly enough, I've said time and time again, Polestar's price action is just the weirdest. It has not made sense whatsoever. But in turn, it did create a lot of value, and you can tell that based on a lot of the metrics out there. Let me know your thoughts on Polestar. Give yourself a shout out. Have you been buying? Have you been selling? What have you been doing with Polestar? And one final thing I just wanted to share with you, take advantage of this promo. Simply sign up for an account with Moomoo, throw $100 at it, and you get 5 free stocks. Each stock is valued up to $2,000. So this is one of the best deals on the market. Link in the description below and also the comments. With all that said, I appreciate all of you watching.